Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new Music and Artist Show, the show that highlights, spotlights, and just might give independent and small record label artists breakthrough that they need in the music business. I am the host and creator of the new Music and Artist Show, TBrown Rebel, and with me tonight is a special guest making her second appearance on the new Music and Artist Show, Tori Boltwood. Tori,
Hi,
take it
Tori.
away.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for having me again. It's such an honor. It was such a pleasure to be here last time. And I have just been watching the ones that you have been doing recently in the second season and rewatching some of the ones in the first. And you just keep improving and keep making people feel at home. And it's such a wonderful thing to see. So thank you so much for the opportunity, not only for myself as an independent artist, but the opportunity you bring for every single person that you bring onto your podcast and your show. And you just make them always feel so welcome and seen. As independent artists or even small artists or even signed to independent labels, it can be very easy to feel almost invisible sometimes. So I really like how you make that connection and always make other people feel not only seen and heard, but appreciated.
Well, Tori, thanks. You're always so very kind,
Oh,
and I
thank you.
appreciate all the kind words. Uh, what do you think about the new intro for season two? I kind of rhymed it, and does it have lyric potential?
Yes, I think we always kind of put a lot of pressure on lyrics because the most coolest thing is when something rhymes, but it's in like a very light way. It's not like Dr. Seuss. Like I remember when I first started writing music, I was so scared because I was like, I can't do this. I sound like Dr. Seuss, or I just like the rhyme scheme is too, intense. So sometimes the best thing you can do is just relax. So the intro, it's catchy, it clicks, it works, and it makes you feel at home. So I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. The last time we got together, it was in July. It's hard to. It seems like it was yesterday.
I know. I was just thinking that when you asked me to come back on, and I was like, it feels like we were just talking 2 seconds ago. Time
Yeah,
flies.
it really does. And when we met up in July,
Mhm.
we were you were working on some
Mhm.
more music and why don't you just catch us up between from July till February 15th?
Yeah, of course. So, of course, we have been working on more music. Me and my team, we travel to Beeville, Texas, and then we go to Skidmore. So that it's interesting. We used to stay in Beeville because they have like this old little town that we stay in. Then we would travel to Skidmore. My producer Mason Shirley used to work in Corpus Christi, Texas, but now he works in Skidmore. So my dad and my family, we always go up there and make a little trip of it as a family trip. And when I go up to record, so we had Con come out, which was until recently the most recent release, and then we went and we worked on the studio for I Love You More, and then two to three other new songs that we are working on. And I'll even give you the names of them, which I haven't told many people if you'd want. A
Uh,
little
y-
exclusive.
we always as talk show hosts,
Mhm.
whenever we can get a scoop that no one else has, we'll take it.
Okay, awesome. So, two of the songs that are coming up after this current release, I Love You More, that I just did, it'll be Stay on the Moon and Wicked Woman. So those are two new
Ooh.
songs that are coming in the coming months. Wicked Woman is actually going to be released on the next Friday the 13th. So what the goal was to try to do it on Halloween, but it wasn't done yet, and I'm a perfectionist sometimes. And I was like, I know that this needs more work. So we went back into the studio and worked on it some more. And I'm like, well, I missed Halloween, and it's not doesn't necessarily have to be out on Halloween, but I wanted to kind of fit the vibe. I wanted to, if you put it out in July, it doesn't really fit the vibe of what's going on. Just like we got really lucky with I Love You More, that it was around that I could release it on my grandmother's birthday, and it would still be close enough to Valentine's Day that people kind of rallied behind that concept and connected with it because February is the month of love. It's just what people associate with it. So we are very lucky with that. So Wicked Woman is going to be out. I think it's May 13th. Is the next Friday the 13th, and then Stay on the Moon is going to be in between those two, the I Love You More and Wicked Woman.
You're very family
Yes.
focused,
Yes,
and
I am.
I Love You More has some special meaning.
It is probably one of the most difficult and rewarding songs that I've ever put out because I am my worst critic. I honestly am, and I'm also a perfectionist. And perfection doesn't exist. So it's something that I've tried to teach myself not to be so hard on myself because perfection doesn't exist. But being authentic is always the most important thing to me. But for the first time in my life, when thinking of releasing this song, I wish that it was sung by somebody else, that it could help more people. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes the frustration of being a smaller artist is that you want to reach more people and help them. Like if Adele sung this song, she would be helping, thousands and millions of people because she just has that reach right now in her career. So for the first time it was difficult for me because I was like, I love this song and how important it is to me, and the fact that it is in memory and inspired and for my grandmother. It was really weird because I had never experienced that before where I was like, man, I wish that I could help more people. And I think that's when you truly know that you really love making music and that you really love a song, is that you would even be willing not to be the voice behind it because you know that it could help more people if it had
Mhm.
a different, just a bigger platform behind it. But
Mhm.
we've also received more support in the last week of this song than we've ever had in a first week release. So I think what was ironic of that is, I'm thinking all these thoughts of, man, I wish that I had a bigger platform so I could reach out and help more people. And I think it ended up connecting and just kind of exploding in this way because it does connect. It's
Right.
probably one of the most songs that people have messaged me going, you have no idea how much this helped me through this. I just lost my grandfather to COVID a year ago, and this song connected and made me feel something and made me feel like I wasn't alone. And I'm reading these and I'm sobbing because it's exactly what I wanted to do, and it's exactly what I wanted this song to do. Was not only to immortalize my love for one of my family members, my grandmother, but to also help other people because this song is supposed to be multifaceted. It's, when writing it, the difficult part was when I first started writing it, it was very, sad and kind of depressing
Mhm.
because, the different stages of grief. And through that writing, I went through the different stages of grief with my co-writer. And at first I was listening to it and I'm like, wow, this is a song that's going to make people feel heavy, you know? And I wanted that element of that loss to be there. But what we concentrated on and we rewrote a lot of it was I wanted the element of that love, where I always say loving her was worth losing her.
Yeah.
Every time that I've lost somebody close to me, even though it's very painful, that being able to have the blessing and the honor to love my grandmother was worth every single second of pain that I've experienced from losing her. I would do it 100 times over just to have another day with her. So when we rewrote it, we wanted a song that people could use for mourning somebody that they lost and they loved, or somebody that they miss, such as military, serving our country. I wanted a song that maybe some people could make their first dance, or someone who just gave birth to their first child. This song could be something that connects with them. I wanted it to be something that could be multifaceted and people could look inward into the lyrics and kind of interpretate it in so many different ways. I always try to do that when I write is I try to create a song that can be taken in a bunch of different ways so that it can be applied to so many different situations and people. Sometimes I think we write lyrics where we feel like we have to be so specific or, put so many social popularity cues into it. Like we'll talk about like one of my songs talks about iPhones or something like that. And then, sometimes just opening it up to include more people and make people feel like they can connect with you. I think that was what we really tried to strive for in I Love You More. And I really feel like that is why it is making such a connection now. Is because not only does it have my story, but I was also and we were also taking into mind everybody else's story.
Tori, when you write a song that is about a painful moment in your life, and it's not finished, but it's down, it's on paper. You're recording it or you're performing it.
Mhm.
What does that feel like?
Well, when I went in to record "I Love You More," or even after just finishing writing it out on paper, it honestly, it was like that experience, like I said, it was like the process of grief, where you or anything, emotional that you go through, there's different stages. So when I first finished writing it, like there was like this period of fear that maybe it wasn't enough to respect her memory. And then after, reworking it and looking at it and listening to it, I remember listening to the demo, like almost the complete demo the first time. And I'm a very emotional person, but sometimes with my own music, I have trouble connecting because I'm so critical. But this song, when I listen back, I start crying. And so that definitely happened when we were recording it, not so much like because 'cause I'm very critical when I'm in the studio, I'm very, like, driven and focused, but as soon as, like, in between moments of pause, it was, like, all these different emotions, it was like a wave, like an ocean of different feelings would come just washing over me, and so I wish I could explain, like, precisely what emotion, but it was just so many different things. Gratitude to be able to make music because there are so many talented, wonderful people out there that don't even get the opportunity to either afford or have the connections to make music. There's a bunch of talented independent artists that are just filling up books full of lyrics and they don't have the ability or the connections right now to make music. So gratitude is always one of those main waves that hits me whenever I'm in the studio or whenever I'm working with my co-writer Jameson or whenever I'm putting the finishing touches on a song or working with Mason Shirley, my producer. It's always gratitude to even be here struggling through those emotions, those, through that intense feelings. And then, sadness, happiness, joy, they all just come flooding in because it's just songwriting, it's individual to each person. And, to try for me to try to say this is how, it feels to be a songwriter. Songwriter is individual to each person. So for to me, it's just a whirlwind of emotions. And then trying to kind of combat the overcritical thinking. You have to kind of let your heart lead in some songs. And this was definitely a heart song where I had to let my heart take control.
Is there at any point when you write about a painful moment in life
Mhm.
that you start to tear away some of the layers of that sadness
Yes.
and then is it a pride more of a pride filled feeling or what is it?
Yeah, I would say it's very because you kinda have to, like you say, take away like I said, like we were talking about before, when I first started writing it, I was so consumed on my feelings of grief that I
Hmm.
wasn't even really thinking about my grandmother. Even though this was all inspired and supposed to be about her, I was so consumed about my own grief and my own feelings that I wasn't even being authentic to what I wanted to write. It was like I was working through my own stuff before I could even
Yeah.
get to the heart of what I really wanted to write. And that's why we rewrote it and that's why we reworked it because I knew what I wanted after I got something I didn't. And that is truly, we always say, "Oh, this is when we write a song that it's not exactly what we want, we're like, "Oh, throw it away." And I always say to songwriters, never throw something away. There's always beautiful things within there or things hidden that you can use. And if I would have taken that moment and been mad at the fact that I put my grief and so much of my struggles through there, instead of looking at it and go, there's heart in here. It's not what I wanted to express, but the core is there. The intent, the passion, the desire. How can I fix or rework or truly be authentic to what I'm trying to say so that this isn't something that I give up on, but something that I be even more truthful in. And so kind of took it apart, picked it apart, kept the heart elements and then added the true element that we wanted was that the joy of being able to love this person was worth the pain. and that it was
Mhm.
worth the momentary, and not to be, I think it's okay to be selfish in songwriting, but with this song, it wasn't just about me. It was about my mom, who I had watched struggle with the loss of her mother. It was about my father, who, he lost his parents very young, so relatively young. I'm not gonna say super young, but he lost them before me and my brother really were able to even have a relationship with it. So my grandmother
Mhm.
on my mom's side was very much like a secondary mother to my father, and he loved her very much. And my twin brother, that was her person, was my twin brother. He is an angel. He's an amazing human being, but my grandmother just connected with my twin brother in a way that was almost angelic, because my brother is an angel, but she just absorbed his love. And so after I got over that momentary indulgence in myself, and I took a step back and I saw all those beautiful pieces of the puzzle that was the love of my grandmother and the loss of my grandmother. All the different stories started to take play. I wanted to express, how my mother felt, how my father felt, how my twin brother felt, how my entire family felt, instead of just myself. I wanted to create something that anybody who had lost or loved someone could connect with, because it's not just about loss, and that's what it had been before. Is the song had been so much about loss that I had forgotten about the love. So then now love is the heart of that song, where loss is just elements of it. It's just, hints, it's just accents, it's just beautiful darker pieces of this painting, instead of being consuming it. So
Mhm.
that was probably the most painful but wonderful part of writing it, was realizing it wasn't just about myself. And to truly honor her, I had to write about love from the heart, instead of writing about loss with just accents of love.
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
was probably the hardest, but I am so thankful that I went through it, because I think it's made me a better songwriter, that I was able to step back with the help of my songwriter Jameson and be like, this is not exactly what I want, but we can make it what it needs to be.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because sometimes we write songs the way we want instead of what it is meant to be. And sometimes letting go and letting the song become what it needs to be is the hardest but most beautiful part of songwriting.
Yeah. Yeah, that leads into a great question. How how are you different as a songwriter, when we first met 6
Mhm.
months ago to now? Uh, you've improved, you said it.
Yes.
What's improved?
So I tend to talk a big game sometimes when I think of the creative
We all
process.
do.
I know, it's just, I think it's something we believe that if we confirm that we are able to see it, that we will be able to see it even if we don't. And for me, I always, I talk a big game about authenticity and not being defined
Mhm.
by, the music industry, that I will define who I am. But 80% of the time I struggle to even allow myself to do it. And so for a very long time I have been struggling to like who I am as an artist. And I think through these past 6 months especially, seeing how the music connects and seeing how it has become its own almost identity, that the music has a power and a life of its own. And to just realize that it's bigger than myself and all my insecurities and my worries, that music deserves to be made. And that if I stand in the way of it by second guessing or allowing the opinions of others, I used to be the kind of person that people could easily wound me even if I didn't show it. And I think through these past 6 months, the music itself and writing it and just continuing to do it, even when it hurts or even when it's hard, has made me no longer as, hurt able to be hurt in that element, where I'm more loyal to the music than I am loyal to the opinions of others. And that is where I think I've struggled, where I will talk a game of I love my voice. I love being different. I love being original. When really underneath it, I'm just like any other human being. I'm struggling. I'm worried. Will this sound good? Does my voice sound too weird? Is this not, you know, sociable enough where it can be applied to, 2022 time period? Am I not with it? Do I not have my thumb on the heartbeat of what's popular? And I think I have started to let go of worrying about fitting in and just being myself truly. So in the past 6 months, writing has become less of, is this good enough to what I'm listening to instead of, this is what it is. And I love creating it. And if the right people will listen and come, if I'm just true to myself and I don't allow myself to be defined, limited, or controlled by my fear of being rejected because
Hmm.
of my differences. We can say, "Oh, I don't have fear." We all have fear. We all have fear of rejection, whether it's in the dreams that we want to achieve or everyday life. And I think 6 months ago, I talked a big game of not being afraid of people rejecting my voice. And now I'm actually starting to grasp the concept of not being afraid of it as much. I think it's a process. We always continue to grow. I'm not done growing. I always say when people compliment my music, I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to grow. And I think through not just saying that, but accepting it has been a big process in the 6 months, because sometimes we say things that we don't actually accept or apply. And I know that I have awareness, but I always haven't had acceptance. So these past 6 months have definitely made me accept what I've been saying to myself for a very long time. And that has been a relief and also a process to work through.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, we're human. We've and we're mammals, and
Mhm,
we have a pack mentality, and you cannot tell me that there is one person out there that doesn't fear rejection
mhm,
or is hurt by rejection.
of course.
It's in us, it's in our DNA, and it is so natural.
Yeah, and it's
And
like I tell people, it's natural to be jealous, it's natural to feel fear, it's natural to feel, insecure and, fear of rejection, but it's if you let it control you. That's the
yes,
difference. How you process it, how you accept it, how you change that. Like, I tell people, I can feel jealous of people that are successful, more successful than me in the music industry. But where I take power and where I take comfort is that I know it's not their fault that I feel that way. And
mhm,
I'm not gonna take it out on them. I'm gonna work within myself. And I
right,
think that's been the process of fear of rejection as well, is figuring out, instead of externalizing that or shattering it into pieces and pushing away, I take it, collect it, and I work on it. Instead of just, if I fracture it and push it away from myself, I won't have to deal with it. And it's still there. Like in orbiting around me, like little pieces of star, just orbiting around me, and being able to collect it, accept it, and work on it has been a revolutionary thing in the past 6 months that I've started to do.
mhm, yeah, for sure. As an independent artist, there's challenges.
Yes.
What's the biggest that you face today?
I think that's very complicated because the music industry is so complex in ways that not even I understand completely, and not even people that are in it understand.
Mhm,
Because there are things out of our control that we're never going to fully grasp, but we continue to try to. The important thing is to continue to try to empower yourself with knowledge. Do your research, educate yourself, be open-minded, be willing to listen, being willing to have those conversations. Because I mean, I made a video on TikTok about how Spotify pays us less than a cent per stream. It's like 0.0388 something.
yeah,
And I didn't talk. I wasn't giving my opinion. I was just showing. It was 5 seconds long. And I had more comments on people like arguing in the comment section. And these were people that weren't even
right,
musicians. And I think something we independent artists especially suffer with is people that don't have who have never put themselves in this arena that we are fighting every single day. There's a quote from, I think, Roosevelt, where there are people in the cheap seats judging how you are fighting in this arena of life, and you can't pay heed to the people watching you. Know that you are putting in the work, know that you are putting in the fight, that you are putting your soul, that you are burying all that you feel and all that you want to the world. And And so that concept of where I was getting upset at people that don't even want to do music, who aren't even in the music industry, telling me that I don't deserve to get paid a fair wage, that I don't deserve to be able to make a living making music, that I don't deserve to have this dream, that if I have a problem with it, you should get 3 or 4 different jobs. And I got angry at first. And something that has been a challenge for me is understanding that these people are lashing out because of something within themselves that hurts them. Whether they've had a dream that they were told they couldn't believe in, or that they just have had a life that has made them cold to the reality of other people. And so being able to take away that anger and frustration that people would inflict upon what I want to do, what I have had to do is kind of step back and look at it and understand these people aren't educated. They aren't educated in what? I'm not 100% educated. So I think something that is just so hard for independent artists is not only are we trying to educate ourselves on things that sometimes are not just readily available for us, because there are things that are difficult to get without connections or to get without people that understand how the industry works, is to also understand that there are people that will put all these different opinions without any knowledge whatsoever. So trying to kind of combat what you're trying to learn and you're trying to improve, and what people who don't even understand or aren't even been in this fight trying to put their opinions. I think social media in general is something that is a blessing, but also something we have to be careful of as independent artists, because the world can be heavy. And I've experienced it. Like, people be like, they go for the viral video, and I actually fear anything blowing up on any kind of platform, because with whatever good comes with it, there comes a lot of bad
Yeah.
sometimes. So kind of finding a way not to be fearful of social media, and to, because you're already doing something very intimate by putting out music. You are exposing a part of yourself, your soul and your thoughts and your heart, and trying to, just understand how to navigate that, and then also try to navigate the industry, and not to be afraid of speaking up what you believe in. Because whenever I talk about the wage disparity in independent artists, I always get afraid that, oh, maybe Spotify is going to see this and go, okay, you don't like our pay, then we're not going to put your music on editorial playlist, you know? And I think trying to find a way not to be a victim of fear is very difficult.
That could help.
Yeah.
If they ever did that, that could help.
I don't know, but like, I think we can have honest conversations with the gigantic platforms and be like, "Hey, we have a problem with this, and this needs to be talked about." I shouldn't feel like I should be afraid about talking about what isn't right. Just because something has been a certain way doesn't mean it has to stay the same. There are great things about Spotify, but there's also things that need to improve upon. And to kind of feel like if you rock the boat as an independent artist, that you're never going to be able to make it in mainstream music, that is something that I think a lot of independent artists struggle with. That we want to be able to speak about our struggles without being fearful that it will limit us in the music industry in the future. Because I know I've thought that way, and even my mom sometimes, she's been like, "Are you sure you want to post that video talking about that? Because what about, it's a stretch, but what about if Spotify sees that and like, okay, we're not putting her on any kind of playlist ever. Good luck. Good luck, independent artists." And it's like, I can't be a victim of that fear, because that's not, because how is the music industry going to get better for the people that come behind me if I'm too fearful to have the conversations that need to be had? This isn't just about me. This is, we need to create a better future for the people that come behind us. And if we're not willing to have those difficult conversations and to support each other and be kind to other people and not treat it like a dog eat dog world, I need to compete with this person or I need to compete with that person. It's just how to find that balance of not being controlled by the fear of the things that are out of my control.
Mhm.
If they decide to do that, I have absolutely no control over that. But what I can control is being able to speak my truth and being able to know that this is what I believe. I am perfectly thankful with being able to make music at all. But that doesn't mean that I don't agree that things need to be changed and fixed and improved upon in the industry. And I think we can have both, and not that I need to, hide from what I believe, because that could rock the boat and maybe potentially make it impossible for me to have a future in the industry. And
Mhm.
I don't want to be the kind of person who is controlled by fear, because I think that that makes the industry worse. If I'm willing to falter on my beliefs and on my what I think is right and wrong, just because maybe it could prevent me from being successful, then I don't want it at all. This is a form of expression, and being able to talk about what I think needs to be improved on upon the industry needs to be allowed without fear of, not, that you'll be blacklisted or that you'll be unable to move forward. I know a lot of independent artists that they just it's like they're like, I don't want to rock the boat. I just want to, be able to make my music hopefully grow. Maybe I'll find a good label that'll want to work with me and not take advantage of me. And it's like, well, we also need to talk about the bigger issues. And that's like the crazy thing is, unless bigger artists talk about it, we get pushed aside because of that.
Mhm.
They're already making millions of dollars. They're already making millions of dollars. Being able to talk about it is a privilege that they have, because they don't fear the ability of being successful, because they've already created a name for themselves. But when you're a small artist who's still even crafting the basic foundation of your name, there's a lot of fear that if I rock the boat, or if I do something that maybe is not 100% accurate in talking about Spotify plays and Spotify payments and how artists should get paid a fair, livable wage. I'm not talking about ridiculous payment. I'm talking about a livable wage. Most independent artists, 80%, 82% make less than like $250 a year
Right.
from Spotify streams alone. And it's like they would have to work like 5 years to pay 1 month's rent in America. It's like that's not even close to being something that can even help them continue to make music. Right now, this is an investment that a lot of independent artists make, and they don't ever get a return on interest usually as independent artists, because of the difference in payment for Spotify and things like that. And the conversation, Spotify is the easiest to grow on, but it's also the worst paying. So it's very bittersweet to try to be like, I want that organic growth that they give me, but I still don't believe that they're paying artists enough. So it's like, even now I get nervous about talking about it, because I'm like, well, the magical gods of Spotify might see this and might go, oh, okay, denied any future at all. But you can't let stuff like that control you, because if you do, then people will take advantage of you in the industry. If
I
you
think you're going to be all right, Tori. I,
Yeah.
I, I don't think they're going to blacklist you. And yeah. I don't really have any connections, but they sure stayed with Joe Rogan, and
Mhm,
I think they're going to stay with you too. So
mhm.
I think we're okay.
I'm not
It,
worried about it. I just think it's, well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think there's always elements where we worry about things out of our control. But I think that's a difficult thing for independent
Mhm.
artists, is not feeling controlled by the elements out of their control, or feeling like they have to be a certain way and just submissive, so that they don't create anything, any trouble for themselves in the future. And it's
Yeah.
like, talk about the unfair payment. Talk about this. Be able to use your free speech in a positive way. And if the industry can't understand that this is our right to talk about it,
Mhm.
then we need to change it.
Yeah,
Not because
this has been going on with artists
Mhm.
and record labels.
Yep,
And then we had some of the other issues when there was something called Napster,
yep.
20 years ago. This is it's an issue that hasn't gone away. If anyone can make it go away, they're a genius. And
That's why it
but
has to be a team effort, just
right.
have that conversation, because fear will control us if we don't allow
Mhm.
ourselves to be like, I am grateful for Spotify, but that doesn't mean I have to accept that they're not paying their artists enough. I'm not saying, oh, may they damn them. It's like, no, it's like, I thank you for the opportunity to make music and be heard by others, but we need to work on the payment. We need to
Yep.
work on fair payment for artists. And independent artists especially, they don't have the label, the management to make money in other ways that bigger artists with management and labels are able to
Right.
do. So let's create a different platform for independent artists. How about that? Let's create something that's specialized for them so that they can have more success and ability to what they are giving Spotify the product that
Hmm.
they are selling, and they deserve to be respected for that. That's all I'm saying, that there needs to be more elements of respect for artists and independent artists, especially because they are fighting most of the time by themselves in that arena. And for people to judge or say, well, you don't deserve fair pay. It's like, well, why do you believe that? Just to educate and talk about it and not feel afraid.
Yeah. Well, if you want to begin a platform that is for independent artists, I will invest, and
So
and I'll do whatever I can to talk to as many people as I need to.
You're so
So
kind. There are a lot of people, that's, like, something that's very optimistic for me. There are people that are inventing their own streaming
right.
platforms, and they
Yep.
are inviting artists, and a lot of artists are leaving
Hmm.
Spotify. And, I don't necessarily support that concept 100%, but, sometimes you have to leave something
Yep.
in order for them to realize what they have
Yep.
lost and for
Yep.
them to appreciate and fix the system.
Yep. Yeah, and gosh, this is like I said, this is a conversation that has gone around and it can go around, and I think everyone really does support independence. There are a lot of people actually though that do go on Spotify to find independence
Mhm.
too, and I do believe that everyone should be compensated fairly for uh, their music,
Yeah.
and I think we're certainly on the right track with some kind of independent platform too, so
Improvements are being
yeah,
made, they just need
yeah,
to continue,
yep,
we need to continue to make progress. There are independent artists that are big mainstream. A lot of people will say,
mhm,
some of the comments that I got, there are no independent artists that have been successful. Lizzo, there's all kinds of Macklemore, there are all kinds of big independent artists that are becoming successful. I just think it would be
mhm,
wonderful to see those bigger independent artists channel some energy and some time to help make the system better.
yep,
They
yeah,
were they were able to find a way through hard work and devotion to make the system work for them and to be able to be independent and to be able to help other independent artists that don't have that voice and are kind of lost. Like a lot of us feel lost sometimes. Like we're just kind of aiming in the dark. And I think that would be wonderful to see just, a little bit more, involvement through bigger
mhm,
artists that understand the system and they've been there, they've done that. Let's help the system. Let's talk to Spotify. You have the connections. Talk to Spotify and let's make it better. Progress takes time, but let's start
right,
working so that people in the future won't have to worry about having a fair pay for their art. That's all I want. I
absolutely,
want I want hopefully that in the future, my great 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 grandkids can be artists and not worry about it, and not think that they're unworthy of this dream. That art is a profession that should be appreciated and respected because music has been in our culture forever. It it
right,
it shares culture, it shares tradition, it shares emotions, love. It's vital to who we are as human beings. And so
mhm.
I think it deserves to be respected that way.
You wanna play a little, art, with, T-Brown Rebel in the, 1 minute, it's about as artsy as T-Brown Rebel gets, doing the 1 minute rapid fire questions. Wanna play along?
Of course. I'm
Okay.
listening.
Alright, all right, well, let's just start. What's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, I love chocolate chip, mint ice cream. It's my dad's favorite, and it's one of mine.
What was your favorite TV show when you were a little kid?
Oh, I was like a Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Very Odd Parents. I loved, cartoons that were just goofy and kind of mindless. They just were fun loving. So there, I couldn't name one because I had so many, but like Very Odd Parents, SpongeBob, all the different kind of shows I really enjoyed as a kid.
I watched a lot of SpongeBob when my kids were growing up. I love that show.
right now, one of my favorite shows is an Apple Plus one. It's called Ted Lasso, and it's really good. I really love that show. So if people haven't seen that, it's really heartwarming, and he's a great actor, the main person in it. So that's like right now, like my favorite TV show.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Probably being able to heal people. I know that that's like a weird one because people be like, oh, people be like banging down your door, but I still like even if it couldn't be like physical, like if like mentally you could help people, I would really love to do that because as a musician, I try to help people through my music. So if my music could heal people, I think that'd be really cool. Like if your song, like have you seen Enchanto? I don't even think I'm saying it correctly. Enchanto. I think it's called Enchanto. It's a new Disney movie and what the mother of the main character makes food that heals people. So if I could make music that heals people, that would be awesome.
If you could have one or the other on your side, Superman or Batman?
I that'd be hard because I like both of them, but I would have to say Superman just because I as a as a little kid I always thought he was really cute. So that was just like that's just a preference. But Batman's cool, but his voice always kind of scared me as a kid. Batman. And I was like, oh my god, you are scary.
If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oof. I would love to see Norway or Sweden, where my ancestors are from, or I'd love to go back to Italy or Greece.
Who's your favorite talk show host?
Oh man, I haven't seen a lot of talk shows. I would not be able to answer that right now. But if you could give me examples. Oh, hey, TV. You completely went over my head on that one. I usually think I'm on my feet, quick on my feet. Look, you got it. I think I should get negative points for that. No,
That was it was a trick question.
I wasn't even thinking about it. But definitely the new music and arts show. Definitely Troy. Woo! T Brown. Number
What
one.
what's your favorite genre of music?
Um, I love pop music, but I love performing jazz, musical theater, show tunes, um, classic rock because I grew up on Elvis Presley. So I couldn't really give you one, but I mean, I'll listen to anything. I honestly love every single type of music.
Mhm.
I can find a way to enjoy it. The only music I struggle with is sometimes screamo because I think there's really good screamo. It's just hard for me as to listen to it and not feel like chaotic sometimes like in my brain I'm like oh they're in pain, their vocal cords are in pain. But so that's like the only thing, like physically, I don't have anything personally against it, but there's actually opera teachers that are teaching screamo singers how to properly do it without damaging their voice. So I thought
That
it was really cool.
I think that is very useful for anyone who wants to perform screamo
Yeah.
because I don't know how they do it. I saw Corey Taylor with Slipknot and Stone Sour,
Mhm.
and he was I can't remember if I think he was performing with Stone Sour, and his voice I felt absolutely horrible. It
Yeah,
was shot that
yeah,
day, and he just
yeah.
kept saying, "I'm going to give everything I have," but in a wonderful performer
Mhm.
and a performer that's talked about mental health and just a great songwriter too. And I love his stuff, but
It's
he
hard on
needed
the nose.
it
It's hard
is
on
it's
the
very
voice.
hard.
I think
Yeah.
that's why I have like I said, like I have trouble listening to it, but I still respect it and love it in a way because I know how much they're sacrificing to make this music to connect with people. It just makes my heart fill with joy when other people that have, a more technical understanding of voice, such as classically trained, opera singers, they come along and they say, "Hey, we can help these people do this
Hmm.
in a healthier manner," just like ballerina teachers, ballet, not ballerina, ballet teachers helping football players be able to not get injured as often by teaching them elements of ballet. And so I think that every music has its beauty. I listen to country, I listen to rock, I listen,
Hmm.
but recently a lot of pop, like acoustic pop, is what like I'll listen to because it like is kind of like chiller pop. Because there's pop that's high energy and pop that's a
Right.
little bit more, you know, relaxing music. So I usually am listening to acoustic pop or acoustic indie pop because I really like to support independent artists. So that's usually what I
Hmm.
listen to on my free time. But you could play me almost any genre of music and I'll love it because
Yeah.
I appreciate and I love all forms of music.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My XM shortcuts go through the whole genre mix, and it's kind of like sometimes it's just the mood, or sometimes if I need to think, but I
Mhm.
like music in the background. I actually listen to jazz
Yeah.
when I need to get some brain power working. Yeah, I'm the same way. All
Yes.
the different genres,
Music can
and
be applied, and so I think that's why it's just so amazing to be a part of, this family. I think that music honestly is like this big family or cast, like a musical
mhm.
theater, you would create this bond. And for me, music is, different people connect with different types, but I'll listen to country. It's just sometimes if I need to relax or think, some music just connects with me better in
Right.
a way for my mind to be still or find peace. So
Mhm.
yeah, I love all types of music. I mean, rap, country, there's nothing that I can't find enjoyment in, but there's, different artists connect to different people. It's just taste, but I can still appreciate. That's something that, I think is very important as an artist. Like I can say I don't like this music, but I appreciate that this person is out there doing this music, being
Right.
successful at it, and I know that they are valid in their art, even if it's not my taste. And I think
Mhm.
that's something that I've had to learn recently even more. Like, there'll be artists that are doing fairly well and, blowing up, and I'll be like, it's hard for me to see how this really is like good music. But then I'm like, good music is personable. Everybody has different tastes. There's no good or bad. It's just
Right.
art. Just like there's not good or bad art unless you're putting harmful things into your music, like talking derogatory about other people, or just being a bad person in your music. Music is beautiful as a whole.
Mhm.
There's no wrong or right. It's just art. Just like
Right.
there's no bad or good art. It's just art. It's
Yeah.
like paintings. I may
Yeah.
not like contemporary as much as realism, but it's still beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. Tori, before we wrap it up today,
Mhm.
I want to give a huge shout out to your dad, and
Wood Boltwood.
such such a wonderful wonderful man, and I do want to thank him because it was a conversation actually that I had with him through messaging that made me decide to do a second season of the New Music and Artist show, and he let me know uh, just how important it is to for the art independent artists like yourself and all the others, and it's really is rewarding. I got a little bit energized again a couple of weeks ago in my interview. I knew we were going to be doing this interview, and I just love visiting and talking and hearing your story and in everyone's story. And like I said, I just want to give a huge shout out to your dad because that was the tipping point to make me decide to do this again. So it really ends up becoming the highlight of the day. I'm like, oh, I got an interview with Tori tonight. So
He's so wonderful. My dad is truly a good person, and he really, at the heart of himself, he just always wants to make other people feel seen and heard, and for them to feel like what they're doing is important because what you're doing is important, Troy. My dad went to college for musical theater, and unfortunately, he had someone that told him that you shouldn't be doing this, and he listened to them, and
mhm,
I think he regretted it, and I think that's why he's so supportive of other people so much, is because he doesn't want you to feel that way. He doesn't want me to feel that way. My dad is a talented person, and he deserved the kind of respect and love that he gives to other people. And so, when he gives it to you, it's because he's been where you've been, where you'll might feel a little unmotivated, or maybe a little lost, or maybe like, what am I doing, or who am I doing this for, or does this make a difference? And the answer is yes. Whether it feels like it right now or not, just like with my music, you know, it takes time, and sometimes it takes
mhm.
time to connect and to kind of make our footprint. But if we don't start walking, if we don't start the journey, if we don't get into the arena,
Right.
there's no chance that we will be able to
Right.
make a connection through what we love doing. You help
Absolutely.
you help empower artists because not only do you have conversations with them, Troy, but you give them a space to be safe and to be seen and to be heard and to tell you their stories and feel like they're not alone. And that is such an important thing. We always, I think sometimes we underappreciate how wonderful it is for somebody like you to take time out of their day and take time out of their life and to devote this connection and time to create this friendship with artists and allow them to feel like they're seen, because it's
Hmm.
very easy to feel invisible. It's something that a
Yeah.
lot of independent artists especially, we feel like we are lost sometimes in this world that has so many talented people. There are so many talented people. And you know what I always say, there are millions and millions and millions of people out there that deserve this. And it's hard because some
Hmm.
people don't think that they do. They don't think that they deserve to be successful. And whether if you felt like that, I know I have felt like that. And for anybody listening, whatever your dream is, know that you are worthy of it, perfectly worthy as you are. Of course, this journey will change us, but you are worthy right now to start. If you are at home writing lyrics and you don't think that you are worthy to be an independent artist or to be a musician, know that you are. There is people out here that are willing to listen, love, and support you. Just take that first step because you are never alone. You are never
Hmm.
alone in that fear and in this journey. We can do this together by believing, supporting, and creating a safe place for people to see seen. So thank
Hmm.
you for helping this
Yeah.
community feel like we have a place.
Well, you're wonderful and you're so kind,
Thank you.
Tori, and thanks for saying that. And this is very rewarding. Uh, I love you more. 10,000 streams in 7 days.
Yes, I'm
Uh,
so thankful. I'm so thankful. That's like the main thing that I can say is I cried with joy when I got my first 1,000 streams, and I cried with joy when I got 10. There is never a moment that this feels like less than. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
you feel like some people will say, "Oh, you become like." I'm always grateful because I know that this is a privilege to be able to do this, and I am grateful for every second of it. And if I love you more got 1,000 streams, I would still be thankful for those
mhm,
1,000 people, that listen to it. And that's something that I've really had to dig into, because the industry will make us feel controlled by numbers. And I try to always stay true to the people that are behind those numbers, that are
mhm,
behind, quality over quantity. And then quality, if you invest in quality of the connections you make, quantity will come naturally.
mhm.
And that has
Yep.
been the most I have not spent a lot of money on marketing. A lot of people, you get videos where it's like marketing, you have to make it those large connections. The most important thing that I have learned is that by being connecting to the quality of people and being personable and caring about who hears it, the quality has created the quantity. And
Yep.
that within itself, the organic growth has occurred because I have concentrated on the healthy elements of music instead of
Mhm.
letting the unhealthy elements sometimes control my mental space.
Right.
Because it's easy to feel discouraged.
Oh,
And
yes.
the only thing I can say to independent artists is know that people will come. Continue to put out that music. I have songs that when I first put it out, they did not receive well. And now because I am continuing to put things out, they are realizing that new light is coming to those songs. They deserve to be made. Even if you're afraid that they're not going to get the reception they will, people will come to who you are and they will consume that music and they will connect with it and they will be able to see the growth that has occurred. Don't be afraid. Your music is worthy of being put out there,
Mhm.
and the people will
Absolutely.
come. You put out the music,
Absolutely.
and the people will come.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap, Tori, always give everybody a chance to let us know where we can find you on social media and put your best marketing pitch out there. Here it is.
So you can always follow me. I always try to make sure that all of my socials are the same name. It's Tori Bolts for Instagram, TikTok. You can find me on
BOLTZ,
yeah,
correct?
Bolts with a Z. I tried to be because the Z looks like a lightning bolt. So
It's
I've
really
always
cool.
connected with it. Thank you. So Tori Bolts on Instagram, on TikTok, Tori Boltwood on Facebook. I'm always open for people to contacting and talk to. And if you want to send me a message about my music and how it, what it makes you feel, I always want to hear from the people. That is one of the best parts of the job, is being able to hear how people enjoy the music, or how it makes them feel. Or even if they're like, I can't wait till you make music like this. I'm always open for criticism. What do they call it? Positive, not positive criticism. Something where it's like it's productive criticism. Yeah, where they'll be like, I can't wait till you. Yeah,
Constructive criticism.
yeah, constructive criticism, where people have been like, I really can't wait till you put more rock elements into your music. I love you more, but I'm really enjoying some of the pieces that have more rock elements. I'm like, thank you. I'm not the type of person that is limited by genre. My every song is going to be different, and I am, and that's just who I am. But yeah, Tori Bolts on Instagram, TikTok, Tori Boltwood on Facebook. I'm going to be making a webpage, my own webpage soon, for merch and stuff like that. So look out for that, because I am getting to work on that. We've actually already created like the logo and stuff. We're just kind of figuring out how to do the technical stuff. That's always the difficult part for me. I'm like, I'm creative, not technical. And it's been a process through releasing music. I'm figuring out how to do it. But so yeah, I'm going to have and it's going to be called Bolts Music, because that's what I use as my record label, as my independent record label, is Bolts Music.
Great.
Thank
Great.
you.
Well, we are getting to the end of the show, and Tori, it was a pleasure as always to visit with you. We would definitely stay in touch, and uh, I can't say enough about your music. I Love You More, the feature song in this episode of the New Music and Artist Show. And all my best to you. And again, we will talk again, and you'll be
I
on the
look
show
forward to
again.
your daughter
And
release some new music.
um,
Brown,
the
I know
sh-
she released
yeah, there are 4 songs that are recorded that are
song.
being pitched to record labels right now
Oh my
as
God,
an
Nita.
EP. So
Oh
um,
my God, congratulations. I'm sorry. I just had to talk about her, because I always want to give the opportunity for other artists to get, mentioned. And she's your daughter,
yeah,
so
yeah,
talented. And I look forward to hearing that. I hope everything goes well with that. She's
yeah.
so gifted. Anybody would be lucky to work with her.
Well, thank you, and I'll pass that along to her. And actually, I'm gonna have her watch this whole episode too, and so she can get to the end for the shout out. So she appreciates that, and I do too, Tori. So
Course. I love her music. I've listened to all the different things. Her Facebook, she's always making great content. She is a pleasure to watch be who she is. I really feel like you and your wife have created not only a great human being, but a great artist.
again, you're too kind.
Yeah,
So
it's the truth. Thank you.
it's been a pleasure, Tori, and we've come to the conclusion of the New Music and Artist Show with Tori
Woo!
Boltwood and her feature song "I Love You More." And like we always sign off, enjoy the music, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Love you.